It's August 1st, 2016, and singer, songwriter, rapper, fashion designer, and industry icon Frank Ocean is building a staircase. Emerging from a 4-year hiatus in a black and white warehouse, Frank would appear sporadically over the course of 19 days to build a spiral staircase with new instrumental snippets playing here or there. I, like many, had followed his return to music closely, spending hours a week on the Frank Ocean subreddit watching the live stream, which consisted mostly of a bunch of people literally watching paint dry for hours. For much of the stream, absolutely nothing happened, but on August 19th, a 45-minute cut of the live stream was posted exclusively to Apple Music. The condensed version, which featured several Franks overlaid on top of each other, contained what would be his third project, Endless. A sonic departure from his accessible and critically acclaimed 2012 debut album Channel Orange, but a welcome addition to the elusive artist's discography for many. And while it was a letdown for some with its shift towards a more ambient sound, a lack of standout tracks, and no audio-only release, fans barely had 24 hours to be disappointed, as Frank Ocean was about to self-release one of the best-kept secrets in the music industry and one of the greatest albums of all time. But before we get into how he pulled it off, if you like what you see, consider hitting that subscribe button. We're so close to 500 subscribers, and it would mean the world if you'd stick around. To understand how we got here, it's worth going all the way back to 2009. Frank Ocean, then going under the name Lonnie Bro, was an unknown songwriter writing tracks for artists like Brandy, Justin Bieber, and John Legend. Eventually meeting super producer Tricky Stewart, who helped him sign a deal with Def Jam, he was shelved and then neglected until he self-released his debut mixtape Nostalgia Ultra in 2011. Nostalgia Ultra and its two singles Novocaine and Swim Good created waves in the underground that got him in the room with artists like Kanye and Beyonce, but it was just the start of his jaded relationship with his label. After the release of Channel Orange in 2012, Frank was the artist to watch. With a platinum single, a #2 album, and 2 Grammys, he was on top of the world. But as he looked back on his career, the thing holding him back was his label. But instead of using his newfound platform to blast Def Jam and weaponize his fans to get him out of his deal, he instead entered what he called a 7-year chess game to both buy back his masters and solidify his future. As he replaced his entire team and geared up to buy back both his masters and himself out of his deal for a reported $2 million, Frank was working on his albums in secret. He carried all of his music with him on a hard drive as he traveled the world, working with seemingly everyone in the industry from Sampha to Andre 3000 to Beyonce. And it's clear that getting out of LA changed the sound of the record. While Endless and Blonde are separate bodies of work, it's clear that they were made from the same feelings and mindsets, with tracks like Slide on Me and Rushes building similar guitar and vocal layers to the ones that made Blonde so special. And even though Frank went through a year of writer's block while working on the projects, the pieces to the puzzle continued to fall into place as he signed an exclusivity deal with tech juggernaut Apple for the visual album's release. And from Def Jam's perspective, that was it. Frank delivered a new project, albeit in a non-conventional form, and its 19-day rollout began. All of this would get turned on its head the next day, though, with the release of the music video for his new single Nikes, 4 pop-up shops around the world, a 360-page magazine, and one of the most influential and masterful albums of all time, Blonde. What's there to say about Blonde that hasn't already been said? It's a practically perfect album that cemented Frank in the cultural zeitgeist, impacting a generation of listeners and artists, and serving as the comeback album to end all comeback albums. And with how big of a slam dunk Blonde was, it was inevitable that Endless would be left in the dust. While it's unknown how Endless sold because of its unconventional form factor, it's clear that it was overshadowed by Blonde. And on top of that, Frank's second exclusivity deal with Apple Music was allegedly worth $20 million, with none of that going to a label. In the end, the real winners here were the fans. For once, the wait was really worth it. And even though it was overshadowed on its release, Endless is a genuinely great album that shouldn't be overlooked in his fantastic discography. And while we're still in the midst of another Frank drought, and it's become even more difficult to defend him with horrible Coachella performances and a $25,000 ring, Frank's ability to single-handedly swindle 2 of the biggest players in the music industry out of millions of dollars while still delivering incredible projects is something to be studied. So what do you think? Do you think these projects are overrated, or is Frank one of your goats? Let me know down in the comments, and thanks so much for watching. Hit the like button if you liked the video, and hit the subscribe button if you want to stick around. It really helps me out. I'll see you in the next one.